Ever since getting my PS5, there was only one feature it had that I couldn't help but get addicted to: Platinum Trophies. A reward system for completing a PlayStation game to 100% completion. Having never owned any gaming consoles other than Nintendo products throughout my life, and being way too competitive when it came to in-game rewards, especially when you can compare them with your friends, I mean, how can I not become obsessed? This idea fascinated me, and I instantly wanted to get as many platinum trophies as I possibly could. So naturally, to begin this long journey, I had to start with one of the games I'd been really wanting to play for a very long time: Spider-Man. Now, Spider-Man 2 wasn't my first platinum trophy. That spot goes to the original Spider-Man game, but at the time though, I didn't have the equipment I needed to record or even stream anything, so this is the best we got. The game starts off with a quick recap of the story so far, and then jumps straight to Norman Osborn giving his son some trauma, something that seems to happen a good bit in this franchise. We then cut to school as Spider-Man number 1 is teaching Spider-Man number 2 about science stuff, until a villain steps in to save Miles from a 2-hour lecture about why reptiles run across a pond or something. I don't know, I didn't take physics class. The game finally begins at this point, where I do gotta say, the web slinging in this game feels like a massive upgrade from the previous games, especially when you could hear all the thwipping noises from your controller. They really did do a good job making the gameplay feel more immersive, with just the amount of details they put into the controller alone. We make it to Sandman, which was easily the most visually stunning boss fight in this game, other than maybe one other boss, but I'll get to that one later. After geeking out over how beautiful this fight was for way too long,
Oh my god!
we eventually realize Sandman's weakness is getting wet, so we pretty much just split him in half, sending him backwards into the river. We then find out that Sandman is being hunted by one of the coolest adaptations in this game, Kraven the Hunter. Not to be confused with whatever this is. No, this adaptation of Kraven is easily the best we've ever gotten. Not a hard task though, considering most of the Kravens we've seen aren't really consistent with the character anyway. After the title screen appears, we officially get our first trophy for completing the first main mission. We decide to help some citizens and learn more about combat options along the way, and it's during this that I actually get another trophy for falling flat on my face.
That's a big job. How long have you been planning this?
Why is that an achievement? There is a segment in this mission where we have to escort J. Jonah Jameson to the hospital, and I honestly laughed way too hard at some of these interactions. We make our way back to Peter's house where we meet MJ for the first time, and honestly, this new design gets way too much hate. Is it amazing? No. But is it the worst redesign we've ever had? No. Her missions still aren't the best though. We then go through another boring mission doing chores around the house, but we do find pictures of puberty Peter. MJ goes outside and finds Harry posing dramatically for his introduction, and Peter joins him on a bike ride to their old high school. They then proceed to commit an actual crime, all for the purpose of Harry convincing Peter to get a job with him. Finally back to Spider-Man, Peter and Miles go to the raft so they can watch Scorpion and Martin Lee be transferred to another prison that they'll just break out of anyway. When big surprise, something interferes with the transfer. Our first encounter with Kraven and his hunters goes about as expected. They cause chaos, take the Spider-Man off guard, take Scorpion and Martin Lee, and make a safe getaway. Miles struggles with facing Lee because of the fact that Lee killed his dad in the first game. They do get away though, and Jameson's probably gonna have a field day with all the new Spider-Man controversy. Afterwards, we get another trophy for changing into one of the additional styles for a suit. After all this, Miles goes to see his Uncle Aaron, who had previously given up his life as the Prowler, who's so much cooler. Miles asks if he can realistically kill a man, to which Aaron tells him that it probably wouldn't be morally right. Now go collect some old gear of mine when I was a hitman. During this, Peter visits the foundation that Harry had asked him to join, and honestly, when it's not focused on Spider-Man missions, the game really starts to slow down. Eventually though, we do meet Dr. Connors, who we all know is gonna transform into the Lizard, of course. After a very long time focused on puzzles and science stuff my brain can't comprehend, we sneak into a hunter base, and this game gives me more reason to love Kraven the Hunter. This man straight up kills Scorpion without breaking a sweat, and apparently killed Vulture, Electro, and Shocker as well. This man is an absolute beast in this game. Now if he took care of Screwball, then yeah, I'm rooting for him 100%. Once discovering the list of villains Kraven still plans to hunt down, the next goal is to find Black Cat, the woman that gave Peter a heart attack, telling him she had a child that was his. I'm not making that up. While the hunters had already caught up with her, she realized the Marvel Universe has way too many power systems, so she just steals a magic wand from Doctor Strange. A little weird that the Sorcerer Supreme just lets this cat burglar with no powers just sneak right in and steal a magic teleportation wand, but I guess the plot demands it. When you really think about it, you wonder, where are all the heroes? The Avengers have their own tower. Nelson and Murdoch are a thing in this game, so where's Daredevil? The Fantastic Four have their own Baxter building now, which means they just showed up. Where are they? So we chase Black Cat around the city and fight off some more hunters when she tells us that she really just needs the wand to go to Paris to see her girlfriend again. So we let her go, and that's one victim saved from Kraven. Sorry, don't give me that Wong, there's no excuse. After this, we go to Coney Island now that Harry's back, and they give us a ton of side games to play, but upon completion, I realized there wasn't a single trophy attached to any of them. I did get a cool hat though. Peter and MJ go on a Ferris wheel when more hunters appear in search of Tombstone, a villain from the last game who's now a mini kart engineer. It was a little strange to see an old mob boss be handy with go-karts. We beat up some more hunters, but of course the plot demands it, so they end up taking Tombstone away. We do find out that Harry has embraced the bad boy role and took in the 19 inches of venom. After discovering where Tombstone was taken, Peter and the now Agent Venom go to break him out. We do almost kill him a couple times, but end up getting him out eventually. Venom did get a little clingy afterwards, but Peter told him he was already in a relationship, so he quickly let go. I'm sure he'll take that well. All is finally starting to look more under control until, of course, turns out Dr. Connor was taken by the hunters to turn him back into his lizard Sona. Who could have seen that coming? Alright, so it's finally time for the MJ missions. Well, I think they are decently better than the first game, mainly because you can actually fight back this time. I mainly enjoy them because the stun gun just helps me get through the missions faster. Do I think she's a bad character? No. She gets some good moments in the last few missions of the game, but in a game about Spider-Man, I really just don't care to play as a normal human who could barely do anything. When one of these missions comes up in the middle of a game where you're leveling up all your abilities and finally get used to the combat system, it just makes the MJ missions so much more boring. Especially when they just drag on and on for the longest time. Like, just get on with it. Why do I need to study this girl's accent in order to get a code? MJ does make it to Dr. Connor's, but just in time for Kraven to appear behind us, ready to encourage Connor to embrace his inner lizard.
His name is Kurt Connors. He's a good man.
There are no good men.
Gosh, I wish all Cravens were like this. The Spider Pals do finally arrive though, literal seconds after Kraven injects Connors with the lizard serum, because of course, Connors transforms and Kraven stops Peter's attack, which apparently shocks Peter so much he forgets how to dodge, and Kraven just stabs him. After Peter actually dies, Venom decides to shoot his shot and embrace Peter while he's not able to say no. Is Venom a yandere? Is Venom a yandere? Oh my gosh, no, that's not what I meant. So Venom immediately spreads his influence on Peter, and we start bashing these hunters into the ground, and I swear we probably paralyzed some of these people. After escaping, I do get another trophy for embracing the yandere. After getting back to the lab, we use the blade that Kraven stabbed Peter with in order to track down where he is so we can get the serum to cure Dr. Connors, which is so conveniently around Kraven's neck. What a coincidence. Peter ends up sneaking into a hunter's party wearing that venom drip, figuring out that Kraven is at a chapel nearby. He also finds some of Kraven's poems and philosophy books, so that's the thing. Afterwards, we get this iconic scene with Peter fighting Kraven in the chapel, where Peter does end up getting the serum and retreats, only after taking a massive beating from Kraven, I gotta say. We go back to the lab, work on the serum, more hunters appear, fighting ensues, and of course Peter makes more puns.
Okay, before we get down to business, there's something I have to tell you. I'm fresh out of honey.
Finally, we get to see Miles again as Peter is ghosting him. He visits his dad to get pumped up to keep fighting Lee, and oh, never mind, right back to Peter. Peter breaks into Connor's house to try to find him, but once again, more hunters appear. So Peter finally embraces his inner bully and breaks way more bones than morally acceptable. He finally calls Miles and asks, "Why aren't you in this game? Come on, get your act together." So they both go together to track the lizard. Before tracking him down though, I do get another trophy for completing a side mission with Miles, where I find a bunch of stolen instruments. After fighting even more hunters, I'm only now noticing how many times we have to fight these guys. We find the lizard and finally get to fight him, which, let me say, was actually way more difficult than I thought it was going to be. Even on normal difficulty, he was not going down easily. After a few tries, I do end up making it through, and we chase him around the city for a bit before Kraven shows up and shoots us both off a building. We wake up only to have to fight the lizard again, so after several more deaths, we finally inject him with the serum, and the lizard is no more. That was a long one. Peter decides maybe having a yandere stuck with me isn't too bad after all, and decides never to take the suit off again. Venom sees his opportunity to make Peter do whatever he wants, so he makes him go on a rampage while asleep, while more hunters break into his house. My goodness, why are these guys everywhere? Miles is called to help, but eventually gets defeated and taken away by Kraven. Peter almost actually kills MJ, which honestly might have made a specific group of fans happy. Peter wakes up on a park bench having had the best sleep of his life and goes full bully mode, telling Harry to pop some pills, tells MJ she's useless. No comment. And even steals Norman's approval, so Harry's a tad upset about all this and realizes he's nothing without the yandere alien from space. Wait, the plot is a love triangle? After a very long time now playing as Peter, we finally get to try out Miles again as he escapes Craven's dungeon. It turns out though that Craven wants Miles to duke it out with Lee instead of just killing him. This fight wasn't too difficult, just learning a couple of patterns to dodge. Lee does go into Miles' mind and finds out his identity though, but once finding out about his father, he realizes, maybe I am kind of a villain here, and agrees to help Miles. I also got a trophy during this fight sequence for pulling 6 enemies towards me at once. Miles sends him flying out of the arena to go find Peter, and I assume an hour-long fight with more hunters takes place after that, because there's just that many hunters. I got another trophy for completing the mission as well. After being informed of where Miles was, Peter rushes over to get him out, but of course Craven is expecting him. I'm pretty impressed at how I didn't die at all during the Craven fight because of just how long this fight lasted. Okay, Craven. After this was easily my favorite fight in the whole game. The other most visually appealing boss fight I was talking about earlier with Sandman. Peter goes on another rampage and Miles has to be the one to snap him out of it by fighting him. Now while it wasn't a really hard boss, with all the movements you have to make, fighting someone with the same skill set is just always a little more fun than other bosses. It was probably much longer, but it felt like it lasted a minute just because of how fun it was to hear these two go back and forth.
Hello. One hell-bent on revenge! Revenge? All I wanted was to protect my family. Protect you! You're not better than me!
Peter finally realizes his relationship with Venom is going nowhere and tears off the suit. We do get a pretty heartfelt interaction between Peter and Miles though. We get another mission trophy and head right over to Dr. Connors to destroy the suit, where Harry gets pretty upset that we stole his dad and yandere away from him, so he steals the symbiote back and... Is that the 19 inches of Venom? We do actually get to play as Venom now, which is another really cool segment that I wish we got more of. I think the voice actor for Venom did confirm 80% of his lines were never used, so maybe we'll get more Venom gameplay in the DLC maybe? We then fight more hunters, but we get to break their necks this time, so it's all good. Craven decides to join the fight, hoping he finally has found that one worthy opponent to have one last face-off against. And yep. Yeah, he definitely found the one. I don't think he could have asked for a better opponent. So we get another trophy for brutally murdering a man as Peter starts his search for Harry. After fighting an insane amount of symbiote people and creating a sound trap of a church bell, we make our way to a symbiote nest and save Miles' mom and friends from a subway train. Another combat trophy pops up soon after that for using some spider arm abilities. Something I haven't mentioned up until this point are the collectibles and side missions for this game. Though there have been better collectibles in previous Spider-Man games, these aren't too difficult or tedious to do. You get to start each collection throughout the game, but after the last mission I decided I wanted to get as many done as I could before finishing up the rest of the game. During this grind, I got a total of 8 trophies consisting of collecting 10,000 tech parts, taking pictures like this, taking down enemies from web lines, completing hunter bases, as if we don't have enough of those guys to fight, helping a character from the last games, Howard, take his pigeons out of New York before he tragically passes away, completing all the side missions from the app, defeating enemies with Venom abilities, and finding all of Sandman's lost memories, and making sure his daughter wasn't kidnapped by Craven. Going back to the story, Peter rushes to MJ's house when he finds out that Harry is there holding MJ hostage, I guess. We try to negotiate, but Harry insists on the fact that he has to be a villain in every single Spider-Man media out there. He grabs MJ, and I've seen way too many memes of this scene. He turns MJ into a symbiote, and Peter has to finally have a therapy session with her to make her snap out of it. After a few attempts, we free her and get another mission trophy. Peter goes to find Harry and immediately almost dies again, something that happens a lot during these last few missions. Miles and now reformed Martin Lee team up to go inside Peter's mind and break him free. After more trauma and regret from Peter, he wakes up and gets the sick new anti-venom outfit. After that, I do get another trophy for defeating a symbiote as anti-venom. Right before going into the final mission, I finish up the Prowler collectibles and get the tech stash as trophy as well. We gear up as we head into the final fight against Venom, fighting massive hordes of symbiotes as we go along. Miles gets his infamous Miles original suit that gets an absurd amount of hate play online. I do like the color scheme of it, and I think it's a pretty great outfit, except for that hair that needs to be covered up immediately. Our first main mission is to steal a rock that I guess gives all the symbiotes their power. I didn't really pay attention to the significance of the space rock, so we have a quick huddle in May's house and go out to make our stand. Peter lures Venom away, Miles distracts the symbiotes, and MJ goes to steal the rock from the Venom cave, and no, not another MJ mission! After getting through that, Miles and MJ escape the Venom cave, and we finally get to face off against Venom. This nightmare of a fight had 4 different phases, and this was by far the hardest boss fight in the game. I thought the lizard was bad, but this took me so long to beat. I kept dying over and over and over. Eventually it switches to Miles for the last 2 phases, which somehow took even longer, but after trial and error and what felt like forever, we finally pin Venom down, and Peter decides the Passage Run isn't working out really well, so he needs to kill Harry in order to destroy Venom. We get the space rock into a particle accelerator and destroy all the symbiotes throughout the town, but at what cost? We've gone against our morals and just killed someone. But not just killed someone, we killed our best friend too. As Peter grieves the loss of his friend, we have to come to grips with the decision we've made. Because death can't just be undone, no matter how much or Miles will just revive him. Seems like a unique direction they could have gone for Peter's character, but yeah, sure, I guess this works too. Also, this scene feels much more different if you've seen the most recent Spider-Verse movie. He's breaking the cannon! Miles broke the cannon again! So we revive Harry and save the city from the symbiotes and make a new enemy in Norman Osborn because we refuse to explain everything that happened for some reason. All is good though, and Peter even decides to retire as Spider-Man, letting Miles take on that role. We all know he's gonna come back for the 3rd game, but it's a nice change of pace for the time being, and that's the main game. While I do think they went a little too heavily into the internal struggles of every single character and less Spider-Man action, I still did enjoy the game. After giving it some time, I don't think it deserved Game of the Year compared to some other games that came out this past year, but it did improve on all the previous game's gameplay, animation, and world building. We're not done yet though, so after the credits and a teaser for a new Spider-Woman we've surprisingly never seen before in any Spider-Man media, we get a trophy for completing the main story and begin the final grind. We beat all the symbiote nests left over, did a bunch of tasks for some high school students for this weird America outfit. We got another medal right after that for reaching the max level. We found all of Mysterio's VR experiences, got all the suit tech upgrades, and completed all of Peter's lab experiments, even though the lab was destroyed. So I don't know what the purpose of all these are. The last side plot involves Yuri, or Wraith now, making her return from the first Spider-Man game. Peter and Wraith hunt down a cult leader who turns out to be the host for Carnage of all people. Similar to Venom, but I guess more insane. Cassidy is actually pretty menacing in this game, so I hope we do get to see the storyline continue in the DLC. He does get away in the end with the Venom symbiote, which I don't know how he got it because I thought we destroyed it with Harry, but okay. After surviving that, we got a trophy for obtaining all of the suits in the game and collecting all of the spider bots, which gave us another trophy for 100% in all the districts. We upgraded all the gadgets to the max level and found where the spider bots came from, which was another character. I'm not exactly sure who they are, but they do reference Miguel, so that's good enough with me. We catch all the hunters drones and they lead us to an apartment belonging to the Chameleon because we gotta throw even more characters into this game. At this point, all that was left was random miscellaneous trophies spread out across the city, like performing 30 air tricks in a row, which just meant before landing on the ground, not a continuous 30. Gliding across the city without touching the ground gave me another trophy, using more symbiote abilities during surge mode, rounding the bases at a baseball stadium. Okay, finding the science trophy referenced in the Miles Morales game, and finally, visiting Aunt May to tell her about the absurd amount of plot this game set up for the future. And with that, I got my 3rd platinum trophy. Overall, I'll give this game an 8 out of 10. Not perfect, but an upgrade from the original in just about every way. Man though, hunting a platinum trophy for the first time was way more fun than I anticipated it would be. I already have an unhealthy amount of games that I haven't even started yet, so there's already a lot of platinum hunts coming soon. Since our first 3 platinum trophies are from Marvel games, I think we should follow the trend. So the next platinum trophy hunt is going to be Guardians of the Galaxy. We'll see how that goes. If you guys want to see me play a specific game, whether simple or absolute torture, comment them down below. Check out the Spider-Man streams if you want to see the full journey, and yeah, see you in the next hunt.